On the day I was supposed to try on wedding dresses with my boyfriend of 7 years, I arrived at the bridal shop full of joy. Unexpectedly, I overheard a conversation between him and his friend. "You got your marriage license with Xiaoqin yesterday, and today you're bringing Shangxia to try on wedding dresses. Aren't you afraid she'll make a scene if she finds out?" He looked helpless and said hoarsely, "My brother died in a car accident. Xiaoqin is pregnant with his child. If I don't take responsibility and marry her, how will they, a widowed mother and orphan, survive? I'll spend my life making it up to Xia. Keep your mouth shut. She absolutely cannot find out about this." My heart turned to ash. I immediately made an appointment for an abortion at the hospital. Since he couldn't give me and my child a complete family, I didn't want it. Their conversation was like the piercing cold of winter, instantly extinguishing all the joy I felt after receiving my positive pregnancy test. I got up early this morning and went to the hospital to get the test results. I was planning to tell him the good news at the bridal shop, but I didn't expect him to deal me such a devastating blow first. Oh, since he's already married someone else, why is he still planning a wedding with me? Before I could figure out the answer to this question, the bridal shop's designer approached. "Miss Shang, the wedding dress Mr. Lu custom designed for you has arrived. You can try it on now." "Miss Shang, the wedding dress Mr. Lu custom designed for you has arrived. You can try it on now." Hearing this, I was stunned. Lu Lingfeng cared about this wedding more than anyone. He personally designed and oversaw the production of the wedding ring and dress, based on my preferences. The inside of the ring was even engraved with the words, "Two hearts united, love unwavering." I felt bad that he had to deal with wedding arrangements after work, so I suggested hiring a designer to handle everything. He refused, saying, "Designing it myself is more meaningful. I want you to think of me whenever you see these things." When our friends and family found out, they all praised him, saying he would definitely be a wonderful husband and that I was lucky to have him. Who knew his love for me would become so ironic? I composed myself and walked towards the fitting room where the dress was kept, but saw a familiar figure. Hearing the attendant directing me, Tang Qin turned around with a smile. "Xia, you're finally here. Come see how beautiful your wedding dress is." "Xia, you're finally here. Come see how beautiful your wedding dress is." She spoke with a natural air, like a caring older sister. When Lu Lingfeng's brother was still alive, we had dinner together a few times, and I had quite a bit of contact with Tang Qin. Thinking she would be my future sister-in-law, I always shared good things with her, hoping to maintain a good relationship. If I hadn't overheard Lu Lingfeng's conversation with his friend, I wouldn't have imagined she would become an insurmountable obstacle between us. Remembering their words, I subconsciously glanced at her still flat stomach, a wave of bitterness washing over me. No matter what happened, she had a safe harbor. My child and I did not. My expression darkened as I looked at the exquisite wedding dress. "It is beautiful. Do you want to try it on?" "It is beautiful. Do you want to try it on?" An incredulous voice responded. "Xia, what are you saying? This is your wedding dress. How can you let someone else try it on?" Lu Lingfeng walked over with a hint of anger in his eyes, disapproval evident in his gaze. My expression remained unchanged, remarkably calm. "What's the big deal? I heard Xiaoqin didn't get to wear a wedding dress when she married your brother. Trying it on now would fulfill that regret. What's the big deal? I heard Xiaoqin didn't get to wear a wedding dress when she married your brother. Trying it on now would fulfill that regret." Their marriage had been hasty. They simply got a marriage license without a ceremony. Now Lu Lingfeng had given her the title of wife, so I would help her fulfill the regret of not having a wedding. Tang Qin was moved by my words. After all, no girl hasn't fantasized about being a beautiful bride. Perhaps Lu Lingfeng also felt that my words were reasonable. His expression changed slightly, and he didn't say anything more. Seeing his expression soften, Tang Qin hesitated, her eyes flashing with uncertainty, and tentatively asked, "Can I really try it on? Can I really try it on?" I nodded and asked someone to help her change into the wedding dress. Lu Lingfeng was already dressed in his groom's suit. Seeing Tang Qin go to change, he thought about taking off his suit, but I reached out and stopped him. "Sister Qin is pregnant and it's inconvenient for her to do anything. What if something happens to her if you leave?" "Sister Qin is pregnant and it's inconvenient for her to do anything. What if something happens to her if you leave?" Hearing this, he dismissed the idea and waited quietly beside me. A hint of worry surfaced in his eyes. Catching his change in emotions, a mocking smile played on my lips. Before long, Tang Qin walked out, led by the staff. Her pregnancy wasn't showing yet, and her figure was similar to mine now. The wedding dress fit her perfectly. Tang Qin couldn't hide the joy on her face and asked coyly, "Lingfeng, do I look good in this?" Hearing her words, Lu Lingfeng, whose gaze had been fixed on her, came back to his senses and softly hummed in agreement. The next second, another staff member came over. Seeing her, they exclaimed, "The wedding dress looks beautiful on you. You two are the most perfect bride and groom I've ever seen. The wedding dress looks beautiful on you. You two are the most perfect bride and groom I've ever seen." These words caused everyone present to change their expressions. Tang Qin glanced at Lu Lingfeng uneasily, then forced a smile and explained, "No, you've misunderstood. No, you've misunderstood." Before she could finish, I clapped my hands and sincerely sighed. "You really do look good together, Sister Qin. This wedding dress is simply made for you. Such beauty. How could I not let everyone admire it? You really do look good together, Sister Qin. This wedding dress is simply made for you." As my voice fell, Lu Lingfeng looked at me with disbelief in his eyes. After all, I'd always been very protective of my belongings, especially this significant wedding dress. And now, not only had I given her the right to try it on, but I also praised her unreservedly. "Xia you." I blinked and looked at him. "Okay, I was just saying." I suddenly remembered that I have unfinished work and need to rush back to the company. "I won't disturb you too." "Okay, I was just saying." I suddenly remembered that I have unfinished work and need to rush back to the company. "I won't disturb you too." With that, I walked towards the entrance of the bridal shop. Lu Lingfeng wanted to follow, but Tang Qin held him back. When I reached the door and looked back, I happened to see Lu Lingfeng supporting her as they walked towards the fitting room. He supported her carefully, his gaze fixed on her, as if with her there, no one else could fit in his eyes. At that moment, I felt a little dazed. Was he marrying her out of a sense of responsibility? Or did he really love her? I couldn't get an answer, and I didn't want to humiliate myself by seeking one. The next day, I went to the hospital as scheduled for the preoperative examination. When the doctor asked about the baby's father, I said, "He's busy with work and doesn't have time to accompany me." He's busy with work and doesn't have time to accompany me. When I woke up in the morning, I had thought about telling him, but I called him several times and he didn't answer once. After the surgery, the color drained from my face, and I weakly supported myself against the wall as I walked out of the hospital. When I reached the hospital lobby, I saw Lu Lingfeng accompanying Tang Qin for her prenatal checkup. They both looked stunned when they saw me. Surprise flashed in Lu Lingfeng's eyes, and he asked in confusion, "Are you feeling unwell? Why did you come to the hospital alone? Are you feeling unwell? Why did you come to the hospital alone?" Before I could speak, Tang Qin opened her mouth first. "Xia, don't take your health for granted just because you're young. No matter how busy you are with work, you need to take care of yourself and don't let Xiao Feng worry about you." Her tone was earnest, but there was a subtle detachment in her words. I pursed my lips and hummed in agreement. "I'm done with the checkup. I'll just get my medicine and leave. You too should go for your prenatal checkup." Lu Lingfeng's eyes were filled with worry. He was about to walk towards me when Tang Qin pulled him back. "Xiao Feng, it's almost our turn. Let's go over there." As she spoke, she rubbed her belly with a feigned discomfort. I don't know if it's because I've been worrying too much lately, but my stomach has been feeling a little uncomfortable. I wonder if it will affect the baby. She emphasized the word baby, and the worry in Lu Lingfeng's eyes dissipated, replaced by guilt. "Xia, you go back first. I'll come to find you after I accompany Xiao Qin for her checkup." In the past, when his brother was still alive, he always respectfully addressed Tang Qin as sister-in-law. Now he addressed her so intimately. Looking at their family of three, I clearly realized that I had become a true outsider. The man who once said he would love me forever no longer had me in his heart. Thinking about how he used to put me first no matter what, my eyes welled up with tears, and I choked out, "Okay, you go." On the way home, I looked out the car window at the familiar scenery flashing by, and memories of our time together flooded my mind. Lu Lingfeng and I met in high school. He was my desk mate. He was a quiet bookworm while I was lively and active. My parents were busy with work, so they had me live at school because they were afraid I wouldn't be able to take care of myself. I disliked the school cafeteria's breakfast, so I always pestered him to bring me breakfast from outside. He was exasperated, but he always indulged me. And that continued for 3 years. After graduating high school, we tacitly chose the same university. As old classmates of 3 years, I couldn't help but seek him out for comfort in the unfamiliar environment. I was used to going to him whenever I had a problem, and he never tired of helping me solve them. My mom often said that I shouldn't bother him so much. I didn't think much of it and relayed her words to Lu Lingfeng. At that time, he put down his pen and said nonchalantly, "Do you really think I'm some kind of good Samaritan? Shengxia, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't bother with you." I knew long ago that his liking for me was superficial, so I shamelessly enjoyed his kindness. After we got together, he became even more open about his love for me. As long as he was there, I could always be carefree. My mom knew how much he did for me and always teased me, saying that the hardest thing I'd ever encountered in my life was going to work. But now I think she was wrong. The hardest thing I've ever encountered wasn't work. It was that the person I loved married someone else. And I was the last to know. Thinking about the past, my eyes reddened with tears. The driver handed me a tissue and offered words of comfort. "Young lady, there's no hurdle you can't overcome in this world. Look ahead. Good luck is waiting for you." I took the tissue and thanked him, choked with emotion. After getting out of the car and paying the fare, I was about to chat with a friend when I inadvertently clicked on my WeChat moments. That's when I saw Tang Qin's new post from 5 minutes ago. She posted an ultrasound picture and a photo of Lu Lingfeng looking down at the examination report, with the caption, "Baby, hurry up and come out, Mom and Dad can't wait to see you." Scrolling down, the top comment was from Lu Lingfeng's mother. She said, "Grandma is also looking forward to it. I can't wait to see my grandson." The comment section was filled with the Lu family. From their comments, it seemed they all knew about Lu Lingfeng marrying Tang Qin. Thinking back to my visit to the Lu family a few days ago, their kindness towards me, it all felt incredibly ridiculous. I couldn't help but wonder if they were secretly laughing at me when I talked about the wedding at their house. My boyfriend had registered and married someone else, while I was still looking forward to a fake wedding. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and went home. The Lu family had given me gold jewelry and betrothal gifts before the wedding date was set. When I got home, I packed everything they had given me into a cardboard box. On the day of the supposed wedding, I would return everything. From then on, I would have nothing to do with the Lu family. After the abortion, I was very weak, so I took a few days off to rest at home. One day, I was sleeping soundly when I vaguely felt someone approaching. When I opened my eyes, I saw a familiar face. Lu Lingfeng touched my cold hands, his face anxious. "Xia, are you feeling unwell? Shall I take you to the hospital for a checkup?" In the past, I would have coquettishly thrown myself at him, seeking warmth in his embrace. But now I pulled my hand back from his, hid it under the covers and mumbled, "It's just a common cold, no need to go to the hospital." Lu Lingfeng didn't notice my resistance and shook his head helplessly. "Why didn't you tell me you had a cold? We're getting married, why be so polite with me?" Hearing the word marriage, my groggy mind gradually cleared. Marriage? Right, he did get married. I glanced at the cardboard box in the corner and said softly, "Yes, we're getting married. You can take your things back today." We didn't live together, but he would occasionally come over and stay for a while, so he had a lot of personal belongings here. I had packed them all up the day I returned from the hospital. Lu Lingfeng didn't hear anything amiss, his face beaming. "Okay, we'll be moving to our new home after the wedding anyway." I didn't respond to his words. That night, Lu Lingfeng made me a bowl of hot preserved egg and lean meat porridge before packing up his things to leave. Watching his departing figure, I said softly, "Don't come over for a while. I have a cold and don't want to infect you. Just stay home and prepare to be the most handsome groom." He found my words frustrating but heeded them nonetheless. He didn't come over for the next few days, but he still sent me messages as usual. I always replied perfunctorily. Time flew by, and the wedding day arrived quickly. I didn't put on the wedding dress Lu Lingfeng personally designed and rushed towards the future I had once envisioned. Instead, I bought a high-speed rail ticket to Yunnan. Just before boarding the train, the hotel called and asked when I would arrive. I forwarded Tang Qin's photo to her and told her, "She's the real bride. I was just rehearsing for her. Find her and help her change and do her makeup." After saying this, I blocked and deleted all of Lu Lingfeng's contact information. Then I took out my SIM card and put it in my bag. After doing all this, I felt a rare sense of relief. Lu Lingfeng, I wish you a memorable day. Meanwhile, Lu Lingfeng had been looking forward to this day for a long time. Arriving at the hotel, he was brimming with happiness. His mother sighed at his enthusiasm but reminded him, "Take it easy later, don't go overboard. Xiaoqin is sensitive right now, don't hurt her feelings." At the mention of Tang Qin, the smile on Lu Lingfeng's face faded slightly. "I know, Mom. Be nice to Xia later. Don't let her see through the charade." His mother sighed and nodded in agreement. Soon, the wedding ceremony began. Lu Lingfeng didn't know why, but a bad feeling welled up in his heart. He looked around but didn't see my parents. He didn't know that on the day I planned to run away, I had told my parents everything. Now, unable to see them, he felt inexplicably panicked. Just as he was about to ask if anyone had seen them, the MC announced the start of the ceremony. He could only wait patiently. But when he saw Tang Qin walking towards him in a wedding dress, the smile on his face completely froze, his body pale and weak, his lips trembling. "Why is it you? Where's Xia?" Before Tang Qin could say anything, a man in a delivery uniform walked in holding a gift box. He called out loudly, "Is Mr. Lu Lingfeng here? I have a wedding gift from Miss Shang Xia. Please sign for it." These words caused an uproar. Everyone knew that the bride and groom were Lu Lingfeng and Shang Xia. Now she hadn't shown up, but she had sent a wedding gift. Hearing this, Lu Lingfeng's eyes were vacant and lifeless. He looked as if his soul had been sucked out, stumbling towards the delivery man. He didn't sign immediately, but opened the box first. The moment he opened it, the first things he noticed were some hardware and a bank card containing the betrothal gifts. Seeing what was inside, helplessness and despair gradually consumed him. He lifted the corners of his mouth, trying to smile, but the smile was uglier than crying. Tears welled up in his eyes, and his voice was choked with sobs. "She broke up with me. Xia doesn't want me anymore. Why doesn't she want me anymore?" he asked repeatedly, his hands trembling as he held the gift box. But no one present could give him an answer. Seeing that something was wrong, Lu's mother hurried over. Just as she was about to say something, she heard his words and saw what was inside the box. Anger flared up and she scolded. "This is the wonderful girlfriend you found, running away on the wedding day, making you lose face in front of so many people." Then, her gaze softened as she glanced at Tang Qin not far away. "But it's just as well. You and Xiaoqin can go ahead with the wedding. After all, you've already registered your marriage. You are legally husband and wife." "Mom!" Before she could finish, Lu Lingfeng interrupted her angrily, his eyes red-rimmed. He gritted his teeth and said, "I only love Xia. So what? You love her, but are you going to disregard Xiaoqin? Don't forget she's pregnant with your brother's only child." No matter how unwilling he was, Lu's mother made him endure and complete the wedding. When I arrived at my destination, I freshened up and was about to look for a well-rated restaurant nearby. Accidentally, I tapped on my WeChat moments. At a glance, I saw Tang Qin's new post from 2 minutes ago. She posted 2 photos. One of the wedding room decorated with double happiness characters, and the other a screenshot of her updated contact name for Lu Lingfeng, changed from his name to "Baby's Dad." The caption read, "It's a pity the baby isn't born yet and couldn't witness Mom and Dad's happiest day, but we'll be happy forever. Looking forward to it, Baby's Dad." Seeing this post, my expression darkened. I was about to exit when I saw Lu Lingfeng's comment. Just a simple a silent acknowledgement of her title, Baby's Dad? Looking at this title, I found it increasingly ridiculous. At this moment, I suddenly wanted to know. If he knew we once had a child, what would his expression be? I clicked on his profile picture, wanting to remove him from my blacklist. But after careful consideration, I decided against it. If I'm letting go, I need to let go completely. I enjoyed a carefree week in Yunnan before leisurely buying my return ticket. Oh, when I got home, I happened to bump into my neighbor as she was leaving. Surprise flashed in her eyes when she saw me and she said with a smile, "You're finally back. Your boyfriend has been frantic looking for you. He's been waiting by your door every day. He just left. You can still catch him if you hurry." I shrugged indifferently. "We've broken up. I don't have a boyfriend. Next time you see him, please call security for me, thanks." After chatting with her briefly, I opened the door and went inside. I had changed the locks before leaving, which is why Lu Lingfeng couldn't get in. I didn't take my neighbor's words to heart and went about my usual routine of washing up and resting. The next day, I arrived at the company feeling refreshed. Seeing me, my close colleagues immediately gathered around. Looking around, one whispered, "Didn't you take leave to get married? Why did your husband come to the company looking for you? He told me to contact him if I saw you. Did you two have a fight?" During my absence, Lu Lingfeng would come to the company looking for me from time to time. Unable to find me at the company, he would wait outside my apartment after work. Her words didn't stir any emotion within me. I said calmly, "I took annual leave, not wedding leave. Also, we've broken up. I have nothing to do with him anymore." "What? You two were so in love, always together. How did you suddenly break up?" "Colleagues are just colleagues. There's no need to share so many personal details," I replied perfunctorily. Personality clash. Perhaps sensing my unwillingness to continue the topic, she didn't ask any further. After work, I had just packed up and left the company when I saw Lu Lingfeng's car parked by the road. I ignored him and walked in the opposite direction. A familiar voice called out from behind me, "Xia Xia." Lu Lingfeng shouted urgently, opened the car door and chased after me. Seeing my face, his eyes lit up with the joy of reunion. "Xia Xia, you're finally back. I missed you so much." I avoided his gaze and looked behind him. I saw Tang Qin sitting in the passenger seat, smiling at me. But looking closely, I could see a hint of provocation in that smile. Now that everyone knows they're married, they're no longer pretending. Sure enough, before I could speak, she got out of the car. With a worried look, she said, "Xia Xia, where have you been these past few days? Xiao Feng and I have been so worried about you, especially Xiao Feng. He's been so worried he hasn't been able to eat. Look how thin he's gotten, it's heartbreaking." She sounded concerned, but she was actually provoking me. "He's your husband. It's your business to worry about him. What does it have to do with me?" I spoke calmly, but Lu Lingfeng's face paled. His fingers trembled slightly, as if bearing endless heartache. "Xia Xia, the only person I've ever wanted to marry is you." Hearing this, I felt disgusted. Looking at him with impatience, I said, "Lu Lingfeng, do you really think I'm a fool if I don't spell it out for you? You've already registered your marriage with her, yet you still want to hold a wedding with me. What do you take me for?" He was married. Our relationship wasn't legally recognized. I would be a homewrecker. And the thing I hate most is being the third party who destroys someone else's relationship. "No, Xia Xia, we only have a marriage in name. There are no feelings between us." Lu Lingfeng anxiously tried to explain, but he didn't notice Tang Qin's changing expression. Suddenly, Tang Qin clutched her stomach with a pained expression and wailed, "Xiao Feng, my stomach suddenly hurts so badly. Can you take me to the hospital?" Lu Lingfeng froze, his eyes filled with conflict. I gave a sarcastic laugh. "Hurry and take your wife to the hospital. Don't hurt your son." Without waiting for his response, I turned and walked to the roadside, hailing a random taxi and leaving. I thought that after making things clear, I wouldn't see the Lu family again. Unexpectedly, when I got off work the next day and returned home, as soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw Lu Lingfeng's mother waiting at my door. As soon as she saw me, before I could speak, she knelt down in front of me, crying and shouting, "Please, I beg you, let my son go. He has a wife and a child now. They can't live without him." It was rush hour, and my neighbors were also getting off work. After she shouted a couple of times, people started coming out of the elevator. Seeing this scene, they stopped to watch. From what this old lady is saying, this woman is the mistress who broke up her son and daughter-in-law. Look at how she dresses so flashily. You can tell she's not a good woman. I didn't expect her to actually be a mistress. It's truly demoralizing. How can someone like this live here? Hearing the whispers around me, anger surged within me, and I couldn't help but say, "I want to say the same thing to you. I beg you, let your son leave me alone. Don't come looking for me again." I had told him before that I didn't need him. If he ever disappointed me, I would leave without hesitation. Just like now, I've made up my mind to break up with him, and I will never look back. After I finished speaking, I saw a figure rush out from the fire escape. Lu Lingfeng's face was flushed from running. He looked at me with disappointment, breathless, and stammered, "Xia Xia did. Did you mean what you just said?" "Yes." I looked directly into his eyes and said word by word, "I can't afford to provoke you Lu family members. Please go back where you came from. I don't want to see any of you again." "Fine. Then remember what you said today. Don't pester my son anymore." Mother Lu abruptly stood up, her nose in the air. "And don't you dare bother my daughter-in-law again, or don't blame this old woman for being unkind." "Mom, stop it." Lu Lingfeng interrupted her, anger lacing his voice. Just then my close neighbor pushed through the crowd. She shouted, "Sheng Xia has never pestered your son. It's your son who has been pestering her. While she was away these past few days, your son was like a creep, lurking outside her door every day. He kept asking me about her, but he never told me they had broken up. I have surveillance cameras on my door. If you don't believe me, I can show you the footage." With her testimony, those who had judged me with prejudice looked ashamed. Even the silver-tongued Mother Lu was speechless. Exposed, Lu Lingfeng didn't get angry but calmly admitted, "Yes, she didn't pester me. I'm the one who's been pestering her." He looked at me with helplessness and apology in his eyes. Mother Lu's face turned red with anger. She snorted coldly and fled. Lu Lingfeng still wanted to talk to me, but I spoke before he could open his mouth. I meant what I said. I don't want to see you again. Please don't come looking for me anymore. With that, I ignored his pleas, opened my door and went inside. After washing up and preparing to finish some work, I received notifications from several shopping apps. Out of curiosity, I clicked on them. I saw that a few minutes ago, my linked family account had purchased many baby products. Among them were several pieces of maternity lingerie. I then remembered that I had linked accounts with Lu Lingfeng long ago. We both knew what the other purchased on the apps. Seeing these disgusting orders and recalling Lu Lingfeng's pleading expression, a trace of sarcasm flashed in my eyes. I went into the settings and forcibly unlinked the family account. I double-checked to ensure nothing related to Lu Lingfeng remained on my phone. The weekend arrived. My neighbor, worried I'd dwell on things at home, invited me to go shopping. At the mall, she waved her hand generously. "Pick any milk tea you want. It's on me today." We often shared good things and bought each other milk tea, so I didn't stand on ceremony and ordered a drink as she suggested. While we were waiting, a familiar figure caught my eye. Looking closely, the woman in the distance had a build identical to Tang Qin. Except that woman was arm in arm with a strange man. Before I could get a clear look at her face, they walked into a hotel across the street. "What are you looking at?" "Nothing." Thinking that it had nothing to do with me anymore, I put the matter out of my mind. Just as I was about to sleep, an unexpected call from an unknown number shattered my drowsiness. The moment I answered, earth-shattering cries erupted from the other end. "Sheng Xia, you heartless wretch. You just stood by and watched as others harmed my daughter-in-law and grandson. Give me back my grandson's life." Confused by the nonsensical accusations, I was completely bewildered. Before I could ask anything, the cries faded, replaced by Lu Lingfeng's hoarse voice. He said Tang Qin had been harmed and was rushed to the hospital, hemorrhaging heavily. He added that she kept calling my name as she was wheeled into the operating room. This absurd story made me laugh in disbelief. Lu Lingfeng's mother insisted I go to the hospital. I didn't want to, but knowing her relentless nature, I changed and rushed over. When I arrived, Tang Qin was just being wheeled out of the operating room. Tears welled up in her eyes the moment she saw me, her whole body trembling helplessly. Lu Lingfeng's mother, enraged, started cursing and tried to hit me. But Lu Lingfeng silently stepped in front of me. "She killed your only child, and you're still protecting her? Have you forgotten how good your brother was to you?" "Mom, it's not her fault." "No, it is. She hates me for stealing Lingfeng, so she wants to harm me and my child. Mom, you have to get justice for me." Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh, realizing the figure I'd seen that afternoon was her. My expression remained unchanged as I calmly asked, "Are you sure your accident has anything to do with me? If you're truly certain, I'll call the police right now." At the mention of the police, Tang Qin's face paled and she stammered, "You almost became our Lu family's daughter-in-law. For Lingfeng's sake, this doesn't need to be blown up." I sneered, "No, I think it's absolutely necessary to call the police. After all, without the police, who will clear my name?" With that, I took out my phone and dialed the emergency number right in front of them. Tang Qin panicked, struggling to grab my phone. Calmly, I said, This afternoon I saw you walk into a hotel with a man. By calling the police now, I can also give my statement. I believe they can quickly investigate the truth of this matter. No. No, don't call the police. Ignoring her screams, I made the call. Tang Qin's face turned ashen. She thought I hadn't seen her that afternoon and could successfully shift the blame onto me, preventing anyone from verifying her story. But she didn't expect that I had seen her too. Finished with this, I was about to leave when the doctor who performed my abortion happened to come out of the operating room. Seeing me, surprise flickered in her eyes. You just had surgery. Why haven't you come back for a checkup? Surgery? What surgery? The doctor looked puzzled. The abortion. She went home the day after the procedure. I haven't had a chance to check on her recovery. She then looked at me. Since you're here, you might as well get checked. You need to take care of yourself. As these words fell, the color drained from Lu Lingfeng and his mother's faces. Lu Lingfeng, his eyes filled with disbelief, asked tremblingly, "Our child is gone." I didn't answer him, turning to leave with the doctor. I hadn't taken more than a few steps when I heard the thud of someone collapsing behind me. Looking back as I rounded the corner, I saw Lu's mother sitting on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably, repeating over and over, "My grandson gone." After my examination, when I came out of the doctor's office, I saw him waiting at the door. His eyes were bloodshot, and his sockets were still brimming with tears, as if he had just been crying. "Don't you have anything to say to me?" His voice was hoarse beyond belief. I shook my head. "There's nothing left to say between us. Let's just end things amicably. Shangxia, I still love you. How can I just end things amicably? I never thought we would separate." His voice was laced with tears and despair. "But from the moment you married Tang Qin, it was destined that we would separate. Don't tell me you married her just out of responsibility. There are many ways to care for someone. Marriage isn't the only option. Xia, I really had no choice but to marry her. My brother is gone, and the child would be born without a father, easily bullied. And Tang Qin is an orphan. She has no parents to help her. How could she live on her own with a child?" His words sounded incredibly ridiculous to me, but I couldn't laugh. Yes, it's not easy for her to live with a child, but have you ever thought about me? If I really married you and we had children later, what would become of me and the child? If her life is difficult, does that mean ours isn't? Lu Lingfeng, your constant talk of love is too cheap. I can't afford it. I'm begging you, let me go, okay? I gave up this child, firstly because I didn't want him to live with the stigma of being illegitimate, and secondly because I didn't want him to ask in the future why his father had two families. Lu Lingfeng's eyes reddened with tears upon hearing this. Between his widowed sister-in-law and me, he still couldn't make a choice. I didn't want to waste my breath on him and turned to leave. Soon after, the police filed a case and began to focus on investigating the truth of the matter. Just as the police had found some clues, a tall man burst into Tang Qin's hospital room and, ignoring her screams, slapped her twice. "You bitch. You dared to call the police. Did you forget how slutty you were when you seduced me? Now you dare to accuse me of rape? Believe it or not, I'll send all our videos to them. If you don't let me off easy, I won't let you off easy either." Tang Qin was slapped hard twice, stammering, trying to explain. He was furious and couldn't listen to her at all, getting angrier and angrier. "Damn you. You think you're protected now that you're married to Lu Lingfeng? I'll tell him right now that the child you're carrying is mine. I'll see who will protect you then, you bitch." Panic flashed across Tang Qin's eyes. She shook her head repeatedly, begging him not to say anything. However, his words were overheard by Lu Lingfeng and his mother standing outside the door. Lu's mother, furious, rushed into the ward and before Tang Qin could react, slapped her across the face, yelling, "You slut! Because of you my grandson is gone. Give me back my grandson." Hearing this, I was stunned. Overcome with emotion, Lu's mother closed her eyes and fainted. Lu Lingfeng originally wanted to confront Tang Qin and hold them accountable. But seeing this scene, he hurriedly called for a doctor. After a series of examinations, Lu's mother was diagnosed with an acute stroke and would spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. Upon hearing this news, tears of regret streamed down Lu's mother's cheeks. Lu Lingfeng asked Tang Qin for a divorce. Tang Qin refused, stubbornly clinging to the marriage. This time, Lu Lingfeng didn't give her another chance. He secretly collected evidence of her infidelity during the marriage, directly filed for divorce, and left her with nothing. When I learned about this, I felt a sense of melancholy but nothing more. We are all adults and have to learn to be responsible for our choices. No one is an exception.